Hello and welcome. If you don't know me, my name is Vincent St. Louis. You can find me at vincentstlouis.com. St. Louis just like the city. What I'm going to go over today is some training on how to build depth in your network marketing business. There's a couple of frames of mine here that different people have. One is you just keep putting people in, throwing mud against the wall, seeing what sticks, you'll find the cream on the crop. That's what I believed for a very long time. Then I learned by a mentor of mine on how to drive depth, how to build in depth, and how to find leaders. Because leaders are found, not so much created. So by building depth in your business, you're going to build security. Yes, you're going to need to sponsor a bunch of people. Hopefully not as many as you think if you learn and hone the art of driving depth. So the one way is just throw a bunch of people against the wall. The other is find some people, some key people, and build the business through them and create the business. Okay, so this is what we're going to talk about, is how to create the business. If you're a good prospector, if you're good at meeting people and contacting, inviting, and sharing, then you can take that same skill and you can turn it around and help people in depth. And you will not have to put in as many people. And you can build a secure business, because where they say profitability is in width, security is in depth. And there becomes a point in time where you got to figure out which one you're going to do. And I say I would rather have 10, 15, 20 money-making people in one row than to have it all spread out all over the place, because you can only spin so many plates at a time before it all comes crashing down. I know from experience. So let's get right through it. It doesn't really matter whether your business is a binary or a matrix, or like, you know, the old school ways where it's unilevel and you sponsor as wide as you can. Okay, the business that I'm involved with is a binary. It's Monavie is a binary. And the way I learned is you just keep on sponsoring bottom left, bottom right. And I did that. I've sponsored well over 100 people in my business. But what I learned from some mentors of mine is that if I would take my time, and it doesn't matter if these people on my business are here, let's say this is personally sponsored business center, this is personally sponsored, and this is personally sponsored business center, of the key people that are building the business. What I want you to do is take your business, take your mindset out of your compensation plan, whether it's a binary, a matrix, or whatever, and I want you to put them on a unilevel form. Okay? I want you to look at it, and when I talk about this, my business is a binary, but I'm not going to talk about the binary tree. What I want you to focus on here is your personally sponsored. So I may call this your leg. I may talk about it your tree, your enrollment tree. Whatever the volume, whatever the terminology I use, I may flip back and forth. What I'm talking about is if you personally sponsor Jack, Sue, and Joe, okay? I'm only going to work on 3 at a time here. Then that's what I'm talking about. Everybody in their business is in that enrollment tree. I don't care where they are on your binary or in your enrollment tree. It doesn't matter. And I'm not talking about the people your sponsor put up underneath you either. These are people you personally sponsor. Now, what you can do is what you need to do is your goal is to help each person find a couple of people. Maybe they find one person, and all your goal is you want to find another person for that person. Help them find somebody and sponsor a couple people until you find somebody that's willing to go out there and build a business. And I'm going to go into more detail about this, but this is the concept I'm talking about. You can only work with about 3 to 4, at the very most, 4 legs at a time, 4 business centers at a time. And if you're really honing it really good, and you've got a lot going on, you're going to have business center A, B, and C. And you're going to be spending most of your time in A because of where they're placed. If you've got a binary, like my business is a binary, maybe A is in my lesser leg. Then of course, I'm going to be spending most of my time in my lesser leg, because that's where I get most of my money today and now. And if I'm not profitable, I won't have enough money to work on other people and to travel and to buy the tools and stuff that I need. So of course we need to be profitable. There's nothing wrong with that. You got to remember, this is your business. It's your responsibility. Until you release it to somebody else, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, This is your business. You need to make a decision that you're going to win at this and not leave it up to somebody else to create your business for you. So we're just going to talk about one person right now, but you can duplicate it in as many manners as you choose to do so. But I would highly recommend you keep it down to 2 to 3, maybe 4 at the very most, and that's if you're full-time with your business. If you're part-time, you're only going to have a couple hours a night to be driving this depth. All the while, if you master this skill, you'll become a better prospector and you'll sponsor some people down the road that's going to lead you to the next level. So you got to, let's say, if you personally sponsor Joe, or maybe they're in depth, maybe you've got an established business already and you're just kind of regrouping, you want to start from fresh to start building your business correctly. You take Joe out, and what you want to do with Joe is you want to get him started correctly. Well, what does that mean, Vincent? What does that mean to get him started correctly? What that means is you're going to spend some time with Joe. You're going to schedule a time to get together with him, sit down in his house, get to know his wife. You can talk about his dreams and goals. Joe, why are you in this business? What's your purpose? And they say, well, I'd like to make a couple extra dollars. No, it's deeper than that. You have to get better at driving deep. Okay, Joe, if I can help you create $1,000 a week, what would you do with that, Joe? Well, I pay off my bills. Okay, Joe, what are you going to do when the bills are paid off? Now what are you going to do with that $1,000? Well, I'd like to get a new car. Okay, Joe, what are you going to do when you get a new car, the bills are paid off? Now what are you going to do with the money? The more you pry into this, the deeper you're going to get, and you're going to really get to the root of what Joe wants. You're really going to get to a purpose, because you know what? Money is just money. You're not going to go out there and night after night, when he's already spending 24 hours a day doing everything that he was supposed to do, and now you're going to add something to it. So you need to figure out why Joe wants this business, and it's not to pay off the bills. He's not going to get up early on the days or go out there and do something different, turn off the TV to pay off the bills. Okay, you got to dig deep. So then after I spend a little bit of time with Joe doing that, I'm going to teach him how to, because there's only 4 things that you do that you're going to get paid to in this business. Making a list, contacting, showing the plan, and follow up or follow through. I'm going to say that again. Making a list, contacting, showing the plan, or introducing, I call it telling the story, whether it's your product story, your compensation plan story, your story. See, facts tell, stories sell. And then following up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to help Joe make a list of names once I find out his dream is why. That is so important. You've got to spend time with people, getting them started right and getting them started fast. So I'm going to help him make a list of names. I'm going to prioritize his list of names with friends, family members, co-workers, and then the people that he knows that are just flat out go-getters, that are very successful already. You're going to have these lists and you're going to prioritize and categorize, and you're going to get him to go out there, and you're going to go with him. You're going to make some contacts. You're going to get in the car. You're going to go out there and drop off some prospecting CDs or tapes or whatever you're using in your business. I like to just get in the car and go over there and invite, taste, and share with some people and show the plan to some people. Let me tell you, the first 2 weeks of any person that you sponsor, or whether it's in depth or whatever, see, I look at it as I sponsor them. I showed the plan last night with somebody. That was not for my personal width. It was somebody in depth. But I don't look at it that way. They're in depth. Everybody I talk to is my personal responsibility, and you need to make that decision yourself. So I sit down with Joe. I go out there and we contact people. The first 2 weeks are the most important. Let me tell you, you have got to get people started correctly and fast. You need to go with them so you take the brunt of the negative if they have it. If their buddy Joe beats up on them, then it's you that taking the brunt of it, and you've got them in the car with you. On the way home, you're going back to what? The dream, the why. What does he want out of this business? And you start talking to him, and you start fixing what the knucklehead buddy just blew up on him. Because you know what? People want you to stay where they are. They don't want you to have a dream. But I've realized in building my business, I've got over 5,000 people in my organization in 7 different countries. And I don't say that to impress upon you. I want to prove a point. If I go down my tree, I can find almost everybody that built a business to sponsor at least 10 people. Every one of them have found at least one person that has done the same or more. Let me say that again. Everybody in my business, if I go down my trees and I start hunting and pecking and searching through the people, everybody in my business that has sponsored at least 10 people has found at least one person to do the same, sponsor 10 people or more. So what does that tell you? That Joe has a big chance that he's going to find at least one person, one of his friends, and almost everybody has a friend that'll run off a cliff for them no matter what the purpose is. I don't care if you've been in 10 different network marketing things. Everybody can go out there and contact some people that they know. Don't think you're in the NFL club, the No Friends Left club, because everybody can find at least one person. And that's all I'm looking for, and that's all you're looking for. So you go out there with Joe, you help him contact, you invite and share and make his list, and you help him go out there, and what's your goal? Your goal is to help him sponsor at least 3 people. Now maybe the go-getter is the first person he sponsors. Maybe it's 5th person he sponsors. But what you want to do is you want to get him some success fast. And within the first 2 weeks you start sponsoring a couple people, Joe's level is going to come up. Now if you meet with Joe, and you're sitting down with Joe and you're going through his why, you're going through his list of names and whatnot, and now you schedule the next appointment a week down the road, that's a week down the road. What's going to happen in that week? Yeah, it's like putting a balloon in the corner. It's going to start sinking. You need to strike while the iron's hot, and you need to keep this thing going fast as you possibly can. It's not always going to be possible, but you need to do your best. Remember, this is a skill. You need to hone the skill. You schedule a meeting from a meeting. You keep it going. Every other day you're meeting with Joe. Why? Because I'm moving in with Joe. Why? Because you're his sponsor. I don't care if you are the actual sponsor or not. You're driving depth. This is your business. So you're the sponsor, Joe. Maybe it's not completely. Maybe somebody else sponsored, but this is your responsibility. So you're taking control of Joe. What's your goal? Keep him going. Ride it as long as you can, and help him sponsor a couple people. Because what are you looking for? Another Joe. That's all you're looking for is another Joe. And you're going to do the same thing to this person. Are you going to go down there and build out Joe's complete business? No, you're not. That's not your responsibility. It's his responsibility or his upline or his sponsor's responsibility. You're driving depth. You go over there and you meet with this guy. You help him sponsor 1 or 2 or 3 people. You find the next one that wants to do the same thing. What do you do with them? You schedule an appointment. You go over there. You sit down with them. If their sponsor... You try to get their sponsor there, because what do you want to do? You want to teach yourself out of a job, because you don't want to have to take care of all these people. Let me tell you, edification is one of the most keys to driving depth. If I go down there and I talk about how great I am to this person, let's say this is Steve, okay? I'm talking about how great I am to Steve and how blah blah we're going to do this thing. You're missing the boat. Let me tell you, you don't want to be it for everybody. I want to be it just enough for Steve, because what I want to do with Steve, I want to talk to him about how awesome Joe is, and how awesome this Joe is, and how awesome his sponsor is. I want to talk about how great they are. It doesn't matter if you believe it. You have to talk about how great they are. And if you are the Joe and you've got an upline that's working in depth in your business, you better learn how to edify also, because let me tell you, these people, you want to build a large business? You better not want to be it for everybody. You better figure out a way to edify. Because what do I want to do? I'm going to hand Steve off to somebody. If I'm not out there promoting and edifying everybody, I'm never going to get Steve to trust him. If I say something condescending about Joe here, and then I go to pass him off to him, let me tell you, you don't understand how words stick with people. I like the analogy of a bucket of mashed potatoes. And you stick your fist in the mashed potatoes. You may pull your hand out like the word. You may try to take it back, but there's still a hole there. What you said condescending about Joe is still there in Steve's mind. And it may take a lot of time sometime, depending on what you said, for that bucket of mashed potatoes to level off. But let me tell you, it's going to take a while. And you want Joe or Steve to trust Joe, but you just put him down. You need to figure out whether you're upline and you got or you're in this thing and you got an upline working with you. You better continue to edify. So one of the pride and ego will keep you broke. It will keep you broken. Maybe Joe over here, this Joe, he doesn't like the fact that you're down here working in his business. I'll tell you what'll happen sooner or later. He will change or he'll be gone. And the better relationship you have between these two people, and you're edifying this Joe, and Sue, and Sally, and John, the better you're edifying, when this happens, you've still got a relationship with his team. This is absolutely vital, you guys. So what are you going to do with Steve? You're going to help him sponsor. Maybe it's the first person you sponsor, and then you go down here and you're working it. You're spending time with these people, but you're not helping everybody build their business. You're looking for the tap roots. All you're doing is driving this thing deeper, and you're spending time. If you go to a meeting, maybe you're at a house meeting or a hotel meeting or whatever, and want somebody in your business, say Joe introduces you to 3 people. It's your responsibility to take out your calendar, write down their names and numbers. Don't just say, hey, it's nice meeting you, I'm so great, I'm wearing the pin, it's so great. Let me tell you, I failed at this so many times. I failed at this miserably. Every time I get in the car, I think of what did I do wrong, what can I do better, and how can I get better at it. You have to hone the skills. You want to play Little League, you want to play AAA, AA, or you want to play in the major leagues. Even the worst major league player makes millions of dollars. Let me tell you, you don't have to be a Barry Bonds. Or you don't have to be the best. You don't have to be the superstar. You just got to be good. And you got to hone your skills. You got to practice. And so you meet these people. You write it down their name and number in your calendar. You go ahead in your calendar. If you're not using a calendar, you're fooling yourself. The other thing I want you to realize, as you contact these people, let's say I am working, this is me, okay, and I'm working down here in Joe. Maybe you're the Joe. I want you to understand something. This is your business. This is your responsibility. It is your business as long as you own it. If you give it away to me, if you give me these names and numbers, and you see me write them down, and I call you, maybe this guy's name is Steve, okay? I call you a week and say, hey Joe, how's Steve going? Man, it was great meeting him. It's a sharp guy. And you said, I don't know. I thought you were going to contact him. Well, I called him a couple of times, or I was busy, but Joe, this is your business. You have to take responsibility for it. If you give ownership away, you cannot complain about the results. This is your business. This is my business. This is our business, but it's your responsibility to take ownership of your business. Otherwise, you've released all responsibility to somebody else. And then you have no reason to gripe. You need to be down there, still containing or contacting the people. It's your responsibility to go over here and meet these people for Steve. And down here, I don't care how many leaders you have down in there. If you are Joe, it's your business. It's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to go down here and contact the people and get to know the people and not leave it up to your sponsor. Because what is your sponsors doing? If you've got a leader down in here, they're driving depth. You might say, well, that's not fair. Yes, it is. You have a responsibility to drive your depth. Steve has a responsibility to drive his depth. Let me tell you, this is business of entrepreneurs. This is a business of you taking ownership. And no matter what level you are, no matter where you are in this chain here, it's your responsibility. You take ownership of it. I've had people all the time, I say, well, whatever happened to this person? Well, I thought you were going to get a hold of them. Hey, look, don't give ownership away. Make sure, and if something does go wrong, you see I'm expressive in the way I talk and everything, and right. If something does go wrong, the worst thing you could do is put somebody down around somebody else. Let me tell you, you have to own. There's only a few skills in this business of network marketing that you're going to have to really pay attention to. Edifying is so important, you guys. You have to learn to edify everybody. Every once in a while, you're going to get one of those rogue or distributors down there that just, they tell you, stay out of my business. You would be amazed at how many phone calls I get from people saying, I sure do wish Joe would stay out of my business, or I sure do wish, you know, I don't like them, I'm going to do it my own way, stay out of my business. I hear it all the time. It's the most pathetic thing I've ever heard of. How would you not want your upline down there working in your business unless they're just a rogue, unless they're just going ballistic on the different way than your whole upline is going? That's different, but that very rarely happens. Most of the time it's a pride and an ego thing. And let me tell you, it'll keep you broke and it'll ruin your downline. It'll ruin your whole business, because how do you want this person to go over there and if you're not edifying your upline? Please, figure it out. We're all in this together. Your upline is doing everything they can to help you succeed. Everything they can to help you succeed. They're not out there trying to step on your toes. Quit letting that get in the way. If somebody likes somebody else better, just because of some way, if you think you're going to relate to everybody, you're missing the boat. You better learn to edify other people, because if you get somebody, I'm expressive. What do you think I do to an analytical? Somebody that just wants all the facts and stuff. They ask me, Vincent, what's the science of this? I said, I don't know, who cares? No, I'm going to give them a name and a number, and then I'm going to tell them to call the corporation or something like that. But I'm going to drive them nuts. Well, if I've got an analytical, see, I built my whole business. I didn't have an upline. My sponsor quit. My next sponsor was 500 miles away. I plugged in the system and I just figured it out. I learned, I studied the art, mastered the art of network marketing. And it's your responsibility too. See, I took ownership. I tell people all the time, well, man, I live over here in far away nowhere land, and my sponsor didn't look, I had the same problem. But you know what? I took ownership. I took responsibility for my business. This is my business. I plugged into my upline. I made the phone calls to them. I didn't get mad because they never called me. You know what? A squeaky wheel gets oiled. And you know what? When I went across the stages at a Diamond, or I was at the corporate convention, and my sponsor, or my upline, my sponsor had quit, but my upline that I didn't think knew who I was, comes up behind me and gives me a big hug. Because you know what? He's paying attention. Why? Because this is his business. He took ownership. He saw a flower out there flourishing, a guy out there working hard, and he recognized it. And it's your responsibility. Let me tell you, I can still feel the way I felt when I was recognized by him as all the hard work I did. But let me tell you, if I could go back and build depth a little further. So, go back to the thing. I don't care if you're in a binary, whatever. You're working in 1, 2, 3, at the most 4 business centers. And you keep driving that down. If you're like the old school, you know, there's a company out there, and you could go emerald with 3 legs. But let me tell you, I'd rather have 3 legs backed by diamond after diamond and direct after direct after direct than to have it all spread out wild. Driving all over the place, trying to maintain this thing, trying to keep it all together. Your business will go so much better if you hone the art and you take ownership of the business. You look at this person as a personally sponsored. You look at this person as a personal sponsor, and you work with these people. One of the biggest things, the mistakes that people make in this business is pulling out of a leg too soon. Or another big problem is you get the superstar down here. Okay, you got several people in between, and this guy is a superstar go-getter. And so, because they like the warms and fuzzies, they like the way it feels when they got the attention and all the excitement is around them, and they move in with this guy and they start working with this guy all the time. Let me tell you, you got to keep your pride and ego out of this and keep your focus where you want to go. You still want to continue to drive this thing. The superstar is going to be okay. They're going to be fine. You don't have to babysit them. Let them go. Drive that thing to the frickin' moon. Let them go, because that's what you want. You want superstar backed by superstar. Remember what I said. Everybody can find a couple of people that'll build a business. So if you can go out there and you're meeting people at Starbucks or walking down, trying to run them over with your shopping cart and trying to sponsor this one or two and looking for that go-getter. Out of everybody building my business, I only sponsored one person that built the business. Everybody else came from depth. Everybody else came from depth. Some of them deep. And there's the guy or the gal that will never quit, that's a go-getter, that go out there. And do I move in with them? Only for a while. But then what am I doing? I'm driving their business deeper and deeper and deeper. It is easier. Let's say you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say you got 5 people here. The average person knows between a couple hundred to 1,000 people. Would you rather, let me ask you this, do you think it's easier sponsoring cold market or warm market? Warm market people are people that you know, maybe it's lukewarm, some acquaintances or whatever, or people that you've never met before. Well, of course, it's the warm market. Well, if this guy knows 200, this guy knows 200, 200, 200, 2, 4, 6, 8, that's 800 names on your list. Why is it your list? Because this is your business, right? So if it's your business, then that's where you want to focus on. Why go out there and now you're going to have to, if you're one-legged, you better go out there and do some sponsoring. If your sponsor's up here working down here, what does that do? That relieves you to go out here and sponsor some other people, all the while maintaining contact with everybody. Being in touch with your sponsor that's down there. Edifying him when you call these people. Hey, what do I need to do? What can I do to help these people? How can I create, and you have a little potluck, or you have a tasting party or a house meeting, and you're inviting everybody together. This is your business. It's about relationship. This is relationship marketing. The more you are down here creating relationships with these people, the better. When Joe Blow comes around here with this newfangled idea, what's going to keep them in instead of jumping ship? Relationship. Because people are committed to one another. So as you go down here and you build these other legs, creating, once again, don't move in with a superstar. Only for a while. Because you can help them sponsor 100 people, or you can drive this thing deep to the moon. And find the other superstar, and then the other superstar. Because you're going to find the superstars in the warm market. Remember that. The other thing is, you get it down here, it's so many people pull out way too soon. They think they've got it deep enough, they pull out and move on to the next thing. When do you pull out of a leg? Hear that all the time. Vincent, when do I pull out? When you think it's time to pull out, you need to stay in for another 6 months to a year. Then, what'll go around, you realize, well, I'm glad I didn't pull out. And then you come around and you're going to feel like it's time to pull out of that leg again. My advice to you is stay in for another 6 to 12 months. Stay in, don't fight the urge to pull out of that leg. Stay in for another 6 to 12 months. When that urge comes around again, and you come to mentor with your upline, and you want to say, hey, can I move on? Stay in for another 6 to 12 months. Let me tell you, you will always want to pull out before it's time. I say never pull out. But your role will change. Now you're stopping off every once in a while to do a house meeting, or you're doing open presentations at hotel meetings, or you're doing trainings down there, you're doing phone calls, you're doing three-way calls. You're timing, but you never pull out. Because you have a responsibility there to edify everybody. You're the big guy now. You're the head cheese. You're the guy with all the pins. What's going to happen when this go-getter down here that you hear, you start getting word of this go-getter down there, and they get a phone call from you? What do you think that does to them? Does everything. And what's your phone call going to look like? You're edifying. Edifying, edifying, edifying. Why? Because if you want to be all that and a bag of chips to everybody, you're going to have yourself a job. And when you go to move on, this whole thing's going to crash because all they know is you. Edify. Build depth. Hone the skill of working with these people. Get them to believe in you so you can help them believe in themselves. The better you get at helping them make a list of names, working on their dream, their goal, their why, the better you are at these things and going and contacting people for them. If Joe tells you, hey, look, you know what, I'll do this later on tonight. I'll call the people. You say, look, Joe, I understand it's a little scary. I'm here to help you. Let's do this together. And you work with Joe, and then maybe he just keeps resisting. Hey, Joe, I thought you wanted to bring your wife home from work. I know this is, and the more you're able to push that line, and you push up against it to push, you don't want to be rude, you don't want to be obnoxious, you don't want to offend the guy, but if you can push yourself, and the better you practice this and hone the skill, you can push right up against that edge of where you're almost over the edge with embarrassing or causing problems. The better you get at pushing up against, the more success you're going to get. Because when I tell people, hey Joe, I understand. Okay, you don't want to make these calls. I'm okay with that. But I need you to understand something. I told you I was going to help you. I promised you I was going to help you. Now, if this does not work, if you're not successful at this, I need to make sure that I've done everything in my power to help you, because I can't allow this to be my fault. I understand. I don't want to push you past your comfort zone if what you don't want to do. I want to push you right up to it. But I promised you I was going to help you. Now let me tell you, Joe. Do you really want this or not? Because I don't want to waste my time or your time. I can work with you on a little bit basis, but you told me you really wanted this thing bad. Now I need to know. What's it going to be, Joe? Put your arm around him if you need to. Let him know that you care. Let them know that you understand, and find out. If they say no, then this isn't one of them. You're going to go down there and find somebody else and work with somebody else. If you can practice the art, making a list, contacting, showing the plan, and following up. If you can master these 4 things, and you can do it in depth, you will build a business that will span the globes, and it'll never go away. Let me tell you, you've got about 15 to 20 leaders in there. I can just about guarantee that business will never go away. And if you've got 3 or 4 legs doing the same thing, the better you get at this, 4 and 5 and 6 will come around. You'll be busy all the time. You'll be fired up. They will come around. You will find them. They will come to you. You will attract them to you because you've become a leader. And if you want pride, if you want recognition, and you want people to love on you, you do this, you're going to have everybody knowing your name. And it'll be in a good way, because you've edified, they've edified, and everybody's been edified. And now all these leaders are going to be standing on stage saying, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. But what I've got a really good friend of mine, Randy Haugen, says, what I really want is for this guy to say, if it wasn't for this guy, I wouldn't be here. Because you know, see, I want them talking about everybody else. How is that going to happen? Because you've done a good job of teaching and training and passing leadership on, not ownership, leadership on to other people. Because you cannot pass ownership. They take ownership, or it's your business. Remember that. Thank you very much for listening. I hope I got you some good information amongst all the mess. Remember, VincentStLouis.com. That's VincentStLouis.com. We'll see you on the next time. Maybe next time we'll talk a little bit more about prospecting or another aspect about this. Thank you very much.